This is Titletown Sound.
If Joe Flacco is worth a fourth-round pick, Antonio Brown might be worth a negative fifth-round pick.
Again, I'm just a fat dude sitting on the couch, but I watch a lot of football.
I'm here to kick ass and make steaks, and I'm all out of steaks.
Year one, he was like, all right, guys, I don't know what Dom taught you, but you need to have 11 guys on the field.
A trained orangutan could have done a better job than Ron Zerks. I mean, not even well-trained.
Welcome, Packers fans, to the only podcast for fans of the Green Bay Packers and fans of voting. That's right. It's the Titletown Sound podcast. I'm your host, Chris Christofko. I have voted. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, James Korsmo. James, have you voted?
I have voted, yes.
And my other co-host, Kevin Christofko. Kevin, have you voted?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, that's what we asked.
That's why.
No, but I have a plan to vote.
Nice. So I want to urge everybody who's listening. I know we say stuff about voting at the end of the show, but we're going to do it at the front of the show tonight. If you haven't voted, if you have a mail-in ballot in your hand, you need to get it in a drop box, or it needed to be in the mail today. And by today, I mean the 27th. So if it's not, get it in a drop box, get a plan to vote. Depending on your state, figure out what you can do if you have that absentee ballot in hand, but you're afraid that it's not going to get to the place it needs to get in time for the postmark to be or to be counted on election day. All right, guys. Before we get back to the Green Bay Packers and their success and how they seem to have righted the ship, Jenna, we have a new relationship with. We got a celebrity endorsement.
Did the Capri Sun people get back to us?
No, Capri Sun actually. Well, they did get back to us. It was. We'll talk about it later. It was a cease and desist. We'll talk about it later.
You're going to be the high C man from now on.
But what I will tell you is that our new celebrity endorser, I hear he's a huge A-lister, guys, an A-lister, and he is a huge fan of the show. I'll just play it.
Hey everyone, this is William Hung of American Idol, and you're listening to the TTSO podcast. They bang, oh baby, they move, I go crazy.
So that was the best $20.99 I think we've ever spent on this show.
I mean, I've spent $20.99 in a lot worse ways in my life.
And if we need to be a little punchier, we have the shortened version.
They bang, oh baby, they move, I go crazy.
So thank you, William. It was very kind of you. All right, we got some people in the live.
We're gonna get a hung bump now.
In the live chat. Well, there's a lot of crossover American Idol Green Bay Packer fans out there. That Venn diagram is basically a circle. Right now, we've made a lot of people happy, I think, that's our goal, right? Every day, just to make people happy.
It is. I can't wait till next week when we get our Justin Guarini one in.
Good idea.
All right, let's move on to the game that was. The Green Bay Packers played against the Houston Texans. And James, the Houston Texans are not a good team. They were not a good team. They turned out to be pretty terrible, but you were concerned going into this game because of injuries that the Packers weren't going to be able to beat this lowly Texans team, and I was with you.
Yeah. I mean, it looked bleak. No Bakhtiari, no Aaron Jones, no Kevin King. It didn't look great, and then it really turned out not to matter in the slightest because the Packers came out and just thumped them and pretty much had their way with them the entire game. So that was fun.
Yeah, the Packers, the offense looked like what you expected the Green Bay Packers off. Well, what you've come to expect in the last 4 or 5 weeks, the Green Bay Packers offense to look like, and they did it without key starters, which James they might have to do again this week.
They might. I don't know. And I haven't seen an injury report yet. I can't imagine that Bakhtiari will be 100. Even if he plays, I can't imagine that he'll be anywhere close to 100% with a torn boobie or a bruised boobie or whatever it is.
Breasticle is the technical term.
Sorry. I went to medical school for 12 years. So,
He
so
wasn't
I mean,
old. He just ate lunch at the cafeteria.
the best grilled cheeses ever. No, so it's it's going to be, but it's going to be a similar situation. The Vikings defense is far from great, and we proved that week 1 of this year when when the Packers just destroyed them. So,
So, Kevin, this is where I think it's hilarious because if you look back to last week, this is last week when the Packers lost to the Bucs, and mind you, they looked bad, but you had people writing articles that now the Jordan Love draft pick made sense after one friggin' game. Well, what does it mean when Aaron Rodgers goes 23 for 34 for 283 yards with 4 touchdowns? Is that good enough to, Kevin, where are those articles today?
I believe
yes.
they've been written and no one has clicked on them. So they're somewhere in the depths of the internet. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Rodgers had a bad game last week. But like we expected for the most part, this week he used it to get right against Houston, who, like James said, is not a good team. But the score wasn't even as close as the final score was.
Right.
They just that was the type of game where you're, every year you're like, why can't we just have one game where start to finish they dominate, and that was the game. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that had Rodgers had a bad game this week, then you can maybe be like, yikes, but that's not what happened.
So for me, and because we talked about this a lot last year, I believed that there was a problem, that Rodgers was part of the problem, and I still think he was. My question, and I think we talked about this on the show, my only question was, is this something that he's capable of correcting, or has he gone too far in age or whatever that he can't correct the problems? And I think the first, 5 games of this season basically have proven, or 4, 5, 6 games of the season have proven that, yeah, he can correct it. That sometimes he's going to have a stinker, but that not only can he correct it, but that this offense is built to his strengths. So don't get as concerned after that one game as you did at the end of 16 last year.
Yeah, I mean he at the beginning of the game there were a couple throws that were kind of not as sharp as you would want him to be, and then he dropped that one like 35-yard dime right into Devontae Adams. I think it was like 3rd and 13. He just guy in his face, and he literally put it in the only spot Devontae could catch it. And after that, it was just kind of like lights out, let's go. So that was really good to see that he could correct himself and get back on the page it needed to be on. And I'm loving this Aaron Rodgers. This Aaron Rodgers has been so fun this year. It's awesome.
Let's talk also about the running game, because obviously with Aaron Jones out, you're going to rely a lot on Jamal Williams. Williams, 19 carries for 77 yards, averaged 4.1 yards per carry and a touchdown. He looked really good, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't have him, when you don't have Aaron Jones, and when Irvin is out as well, and your running game, those are 2 big pieces of your running game. And so it's important to have that guy who, I mean, we knew that, we know Williams, we know he's a good running back. Good to see him get, what do you get, 19 carries?
Yeah.
Is that what you, that's huge. I mean, that's great. What more can you ask for from a backup running back?
Now, on the other hand, though, James, we had a rookie running back that didn't look so great, right? So Dillon carried the ball 5 times for 11 yards. That's a little quick math, 2.2 yards per carry. A.J. Dillon has not looked great yet. And for a running back, he's got to look good quick, because you don't have a whole lot of time to develop.
Yeah. Thankfully, he has this season to sit behind 2 really, really good ones. An elite one and and just under elite one to learn from. He's a rookie, and I mean, unless you're like Saquon Barkley or one of those type guys that you just come in and he's not expected to be the number 1 back, so he's not getting the number 1 back reps in practice, and he's not. There's a lot of mitigating factors. I think, honestly, this year, A.J. Dillon's role should be situational. The guy has, tractor trailer legs. he should, if it's third and goal and you're on the 6-inch line, there's zero reason to me that AJ Dillon should not be taking the ball out of the end zone.
Yeah.
Now, I would say I'm not a farming expert, and I don't live near farming experts, and James is closer to farming experts than I am. But I did not realize that they made tractors with legs now.
They do. I believe they're called Decepticons.
Okay. I have heard of those.
So let's look at the defense. I look like an ass, right, Kevin?
I mean, it's not the first time.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys are hearing static. James, were you hearing static with Kevin?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, Kev, you might have a little issue there. Here, let me hear you. Say
All
something.
right. Yeah. Am I
Okay.
staticky still?
You're
No,
much better.
You're good. Okay. Sorry, the defense. Mike Pettin should get extended at this point. The defense looked really good. Their best game in a few weeks. What was the difference? Is this just the ineptitude of the Texans offense, James?
Not at all. The Texans offense is actually pretty good. Deshaun Watson, I think, is in the top 5 in almost all passing or quarterback categories. He's number 1 in DVOA. He's number 1 in a couple others. It's a good, and their rushing offense is in the top 3 in the league too. They're a quality offense. And Capers, Jesus Christ, Coach Mike
On the podcast?
saying he can't hit a curveball or what? Coach Mike. I don't know what. I'm not sure what changed this week with him, but using blitzes, really creative blitzes, personnel wise. Preston Smith had a really good game finally.
What I was really impressed by is how he used blitzes in the offense. Delicious, and no one expects it.
You get distracted by a cheese blitz, and then next thing you know, you're sacked for 20 yards.
Who was wearing the cherry dot on their helmet this week?
For the blitz, is that the
For the
filling?
Yeah, I don't know.
You get a little cherry cheese blitz. Sounds delicious. You ever
Let's call the show now and go get blintzes.
So the only time I've ever had a blintz, however, is there a singular blintz? A blint? The only time I've had a blint was on a buffet. Like, I've never ordered blintzes,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still delightful, and conceptually, they're very delightful.
Yeah, visually as well. It's delightful all around.
I also, by the way, this is a little off track now, and I don't remember what on track is, but I also had a Dairy Queen Blizzard. I had the cherry New York cheesecake. Now, you're not going to confuse it for a real cheesecake, but quite delicious.
I haven't had Dairy Queen in probably 15 years, and now I want some.
Yeah, well, DoorDash. All right, back to the defense.
I think. Hang on, before we get to the defense, Dakota is a patron, so we have to cater to him. He needs to know what a blintz is.
Well, no, the question he asks is the F is a blint. Dakota, it's a blitz. First of all, BLINTZ.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
And how do you describe it? What's a blitz?
It's like a crepe almost, but folded up around a filling, usually with it could be fruit or just like cheese, like cream cheese.
Okay, I'm going to read the Wikipedia entry because here's the thing: if you become a patron, you no longer have to Wikipedia your own questions. You just ask them in the chat. We'll look it up for you during a show. It's a value-added service. A blintz is a popular traditional Jewish cigar-shaped filled pancake of Ashkenazi Jewish origin, similar to a crepe, very good, or the Russian blin. So that's a thing. So the blin is real. Blintzes are commonly filled with farmer's cheese or fruit. Now, I could click on farmer's cheese.
No, don't do
That's
that.
a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you don't want to go down that. You don't want to do that.
I think
In
that's
fact, a lot of times you find farmer's cheese in the rabbit hole.
depends on how frisky the farmer's Let's go back to the defense. I don't know that we really have to talk much more about the defense because no. What I did see, I forget. One of the beat writers was probably retweeting someone else's statistical work, but the Packers defense doesn't give up explosive plays, or at least not explosive plays in numbers that should be a concern. And in fact, in a lot of statistical categories, like they've done a very good job, except for in the one that seems to count in some games, and that's score. So what's the deal? Are we misread? Is this defense just getting unlucky?
Honestly, the first like 2 or 3 games, I think a lot of garbage time points were scored, and I think it looks worse than it is.
Okay.
Because I don't remember what exactly the lead was against Minnesota in week 1, but I know it was pretty sizable, and then they kind of scored a bunch of points in the last half of the game, and then I feel like once the Packers get a decent lead, Pettine just says, you know what, let's just hang out here. We're just gonna hang out.
Does he take his foot off the gas? Because that's how it feels.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he doesn't want to put things on tape, and he doesn't want to get anybody hurt. And I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it because I watch a team like Baltimore or Tampa or that just plays balls to the wall defense for 60 minutes, regardless of if it's 23-24 or, 45-10.
I think with teams like that, the reason that they're so intense on defense is because
They bang. Oh, baby, they move. I go crazy.
Would you agree?
I concur.
I mean, I feel like I should not agree so that we could have a hung jury.
Is it time for commercial yet?
I mean, it feels like it should. Like, if this was on some sort of actual broadcast, they would remove us. Yeah, so maybe it is time for a commercial. We wouldn't come back from the commercial break. That's the problem.
We'd all be like Wayne in Wayne's World 2, just leave and never come back.
Something we didn't talk about yet, and that is Aaron Rodgers had a great day, but Davante Adams had a career day. 16 targets. He had 13 receptions on 16 targets for 196 yards. The man was 4 yards short of 200 with 2 touchdowns. That's an incredible day statistically. And Kevin, he looks fantastic.
Yeah, no, I will say that is a great day statistically. It's an average quarter in Madden statistically, but a great day in the real NFL statistically.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's great to see when the Packers offense can perform without Davante Adams, but when they have him in there, it's just that much better. I'm still a little bit sad about Lazard, but I'm so happy to see Adams play so well and be like that top receiver, the top 3, top 5 type in the league.
So there have been people. So what is Lazard's injury now?
He had a core muscle injury. He had surgery on.
So he's on IR and not likely to make come back anytime soon, right? I mean, we might.
I think it's been a month now. Usually it's a 6 to 8 week injury. So I mean, we're looking maybe.
Okay, so that's not it. So now there are a lot of people who have been saying since we had this recorded.
This is Alan Lazard, aka the Lizard King, and you're listening to Titletown Sound Off Podcast. Go Pack, go.
That, after that, the injury happened, so there might have been a jinx. Well, here's what you got to look like. There's a way to find out, right? There's the TTSO jinx. Is it real or not? If William Hung tears an ACL, yes, there is a jinx. But if he doesn't, I don't want to hear any more of this. I think it's unfair.
Yeah, your assessment is
it's like
well said.
They're besmirching our good name.
Unfairly maligned.
So now that I want to make sure I'm not talking about something we're supposed to be talking about later. Now that the Packers are 5-1 and the Bears are still terrible, even though their record is 5-2, Packers move safely into first place, not safely, but solely into first place now in the division. James, do the Bears scare you? I mean, at 5-2, do they worry you?
I've watched them. No, look, their defense is still, out of this world. They have an amazing defense. It's not any better than it has been in previous years when the Packers have been able to put points up on them. But it's still great.
I feel like amazing is over. Like, I feel like it's very good, but it's a very good defense that feels like it should be great.
It's a top 5 or 6 defense, I think, in the league. But at the same time, with the personnel they have, I do feel like they should be like number 1 or number 2. It really should be like Baltimore, Chicago, Tampa, but it's not. And their offense though is just stinking pure hot garbage. It's bad. They've won games in spite of their offense. In fact, I would say at least 4 of their wins have come literally in spite of their offense. And their coaching. Matt Nagy is not good. I watched that Monday night game this week, and he's calling run plays directly at Aaron Donald, which is bad. That's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Seems like a bad idea to me.
Yeah. And not only he did it numerous times, and then you had Nick Foles that was just throwing the ball to Jalen Ramsey every third. It was. I mean, so, and the funny thing was that Nick Foles wasn't even using his arm to do it. Are you familiar with how a fulcrum works?
I am.
Fulcrum, hardly knew him.
You guys, I assume that you guys have played like live fantasy, or not live fantasy, but 1 week fantasy. What the hell do they call it?
Daily fantasy.
Daily fantasy. Thank you. I assume you guys have played or at least know what daily fantasy is, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Familiar with daily fantasies.
I had $17 on my FanDuel account, FanDuel. But like, I'm not interested in daily fantasy anymore because it's all rigged. So I put $10 on the 17. I don't know why I didn't put all 17, but 10 of the 17, I bet against the Bears. So I win my bet. So now I got like 25, something like that, maybe a little more. Now the question is, what do I do with this? Because $25, not going to change my life. But if I make a few more parlays, who knows?
That is the gambler. You are a good gambler, Chris.
So what I would like is our listeners, if you've made it to this point in the show, this isn't that far in, but still, God bless you. Tweet at Titletown Sound. Tweet at us your parlay for the weekend, and I will bet one of them. I don't care if it's wacky. I once made a bet that was like $10 to win 40,000. And I think I lost on the first leg of the parlay, but still a great time was had by all. So, yeah.
So I have an idea for a website. If you guys will just bear with me, right?
Oh,
You're
boy.
talking about.
I'm telling you to bear with you. You bear with it.
You're talking about FanDuel, right?
Right.
What if you had a website, OnlyFans Duel, where you was just daily sports, but you just did it naked?
So, like fantasy.
I
like it. I like it a lot.
So would you pit account holders against each other? Would there be battles and winners and losers, or do we all win?
Everybody's a winner.
I mean, you're always going to be looking for that parlay.
You are. So tweet us your favorite parlay for the weekend, and I'll bet one of them. I'm really a degenerate, so I'm just looking for you to fuel that fire if you could.
We're enabling your...
Before we go to break, I want to tell people that if you want to help support the show, one way you can do that is by going to patreon.com/TTSO. And for a small or large per episode donation, you support the show, and it really, we give you bonus shows. By the way, we are going to make it up to you. We owe you guys a couple bonus shows. We're going to record 2, and I'm putting it on the show so that we're held accountable for this. 2, we're going to record sometime this weekend is our goal. You'll get at least 1 on Monday and maybe 2. Anyway,
yeah, we're gonna blast your ear holes with some shows.
These are gonna be good, as opposed to every other product we've ever put out. Our goal is to change that, that trajectory. Kevin, you get to talk about our amazing OG patrons, and I would like if you would do that now.
Okay, I will do that now. Today is October 27th, and you didn't mention at the beginning of the show, but it's National American Beer Day. So. Beauty. All of our patrons have some sort of beer-related note, which is very bizarre. Very good luck, I guess, for us. Very coincidental. Yeah. So the world record for drinking a liter of beer was set in 1977. James, how long do you think it took?
4 seconds.
Chris, how long do you think it took?
2.1 seconds.
1.3 seconds. While Scott Neer cannot break this record, he does hold the world record for brewing a liter of beer in 1.3 seconds.
Wow, that's the impressive record,
Those
Pretty
instant
good, Jeff.
pops are freaking amazing, man.
right?
Jason Hicks. Jason holds the world record for most beer bottles opened with his teeth in 1 minute, 68. That's an actual world record. That's unbelievable.
Oh,
That was almost nice.
Milo Meadsong. Milo once went out drinking with Andre the Giant in Pittsburgh. At the end of the night, Mr. the Giant needed help getting back to his hotel, so Milo carried him back 1.4 miles to his accommodations. Unfortunately, when they got back to the hotel, they were performing maintenance on the elevator, so Milo had to carry him up 11 flights of steps and make sure he got to bed safely.
wow. That
That's
was quite a specific amount of distance.
Well, I Google mapped it. Chris Korsmo can run a sub 5-minute beer mile.
I've
Jeff
seen her do it.
Augustine. Jeff was the tester for Brewmeister's Beer Armageddon, which is a whopping 65% alcohol by volume beer.
Wow.
Is that
Yeah,
legit?
there's like some special brewing. That's it.
How is that beer?
It's like there's like some special brewing process where they like it's like a freezing. I don't know. It's
It's beer flavored Everclear.
It's a beer. Yeah. Jeff gave the beer
you do a
4 out of
shot
5
of beer?
starts. What's that?
Would you do a shot of beer?
I mean, I guess you could. It comes in like a
want to
3.
get this.
It's like a 350 milliliter bottle. So I don't
How
think
much?
you're supposed to like drink. I don't know. I just saw like I didn't price it out. I
I'm
wasn't
so
comparison
intrigued by it.
shopping.
No, I just want to buy one bottle.
I think it's in like like brewed in Switzerland, so it's probably like several $100s. I would bet it's probably like 700
No,
or 800.
join patreon.com/TTSO. And if you make an enormous, ridiculous donation, Chris will buy a ridiculously priced beer. Kevin Carey.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna reread Jeff. Oh no, yeah, Jeff. He gave the beer. He was the tester for this beer, and he gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but noted that the beer lacked punch. So that's just interesting. Jeff's note. And
Like
last but
Hawaiian?
not least, James Hamblin. James brews his own delicious beer, known for its frothy head and smooth mouthfeel.
I'm sorry I stepped on Jeff Augustine's punchline because that was fantastic. But I think maybe the best thing for us to do, I'm not
They
sure.
bang,
Oh,
they bang. Oh, baby, they move, they move. I go crazy.
Maybe we should just, we're going to go to break. Kevin's already left the set. Remember, the views expressed on the Title Town podcast by Kevin are not necessarily the views of anyone else in civilized world.
Anywhere.
I just.
Did you know that you can help support our show financially without any additional cost to you? Well, if you use Amazon, and let's face it, who doesn't? You can go through our Amazon affiliate link, and we'll get a small portion of the proceeds. You pay nothing extra, and you still get your awesome stuff delivered in like 2 days. So go to www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon and just order like you normally would, and you help the show. That's www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. Happy shopping.
If you would like to support the show and help others find it, give us a review and a rating. Go to Apple Podcasts and write something nice and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
Welcome back, Packers fans. Excuse me. Episode 247 of the Title Town Sound podcast. Assaulting your heads with terrible Packers takes since 2013 or so. Welcome back to the show. Before we get back into the show and talk about the Packers' upcoming game, James, you have some wonderful patrons of your own that you want to talk about, and their frothy mouthfeel.
I do. I yes, and they're smooth.
What?
I got it. Frothy mouthfeels. Yeah, that's episode 247. Frothy mouthfeel.
That's not what I said.
I know what you said. I'm gonna, while you're talking, James, I'm gonna go make that the episode title.
All right, so my patrons are the Hall of Fame patrons: Paul Goldsack, Kyle Turpening, DJ Lightfoot, Will Zine Savage, and Michael James Crowder. Now, these guys, again, it is election week, and you might not know this about these guys, but all of them at one point or another have been investigated by the Federal Election Commission because they fill up too much of the ballot box. I don't know what that means either, but it's a federal crime, and so I applaud them.
They really stuffed that box, eh?
They stuffed it. No hanging chads with those guys. They're
All
Chad.
right, let's maybe I don't. But let's move on, please.
Was that not a current enough reference? Is that like 2000?
That was great.
Hanging chads are fine. Filling the ballot, overstuffing the ballot box, I'm not sure of. So let's just talk about. We talked about before the break Davante Adams' performance, and as a career game. James, do you think that the Davante Adams Aaron Rodgers connection has a chance of being the best in Green Bay? I know you posed the question, so I want to see what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I do. And there's been a lot of some amazing ones over the years, going all the way back to the early days of the Packers and then you got up to Horning and Don Hudson and yeah, I mean, it's just, but Favre and Sharp and Favre and
So Favre, I feel like you have to take that out of the equation just because, unfortunately for Sterling Sharp, his career wasn't as long. That's probably the best connection, and I think that had the likelihood of being that legacy if he had been able to play longer.
Right. I mean, but just look at so just take it in a microscope and look at Aaron Rodgers wide receivers he's had. Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, James Jones, Randall Cobb, and then Davante Adams, and none of those guys put up the numbers that Davante Adams is putting. None of those guys could run routes like Davante Adams. None of those guys, a lot of those guys were special. Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, as much as I don't like him as a human being, he was
I feel like people are going to give you trouble. I feel like people are going to give you pushback when it comes to Jordy Nelson. And maybe it's recency effect.
Yes, part of it is a recency effect. But go watch game film of Jordy Nelson and come back to me because he was a very good wide receiver. That being said, Davante Adams to me overshadows all of them. His skill set, his route running, and to think back in his rookie year and even his second year when he was dropping a lot of passes and pretty much everybody wanted him to be shipped to the moon. And now here we are. And what a crazy ride it's been. And it's been so much fun and to watch him grow into a top 3, maybe top 2 wide receiver in the league.
Kevin, do you agree? I mean, where do you put the Jordy Nelson versus Davante Adams? Who do you put ahead there?
I mean, I love Jordy Nelson, but I think Davante Adams is a better all around receiver. And I did want to say, you mentioned Donald Driver, and I think that's interesting because of all the receivers you mentioned, he's the one who really didn't have a chance to be great with either guy because he was with each one for half of his career.
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, Donald Driver is Donald Driver is one of my favorite Packers of all time.
Yeah.
From his backstory to his career as a player. And I think that's kind of, when you talk about all-time greats, like he kind of gets overlooked a little bit, maybe because, he's been with 2 greats his entire career. So I don't know, my 2 cents, which I know nobody listens for.
I listen for all of your cents.
Well, that's good thing the Smell-O-Vision's coming soon.
The game coming up this week, Packers play the Vikings. The Vikings absolutely wretched. Kirk Cousins is a joke. And I don't know what else to say about that team. Their fans are more obnoxious than any other fan in the NFC North, I believe. Yeah, probably. Bears fans are close. Lions fans are non-existent. And yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, for me, at least the Bears have something to be proud of. It happened 35 years ago, but they have something to be proud of.
That's where I am in life.
The Vikings have never done anything, and the Lions barely exist in this school, which is where I am.
Beauty. Good analogy. You took it all the way through. I appreciated that. And I feel like, okay, so before we get to the game, I want to tell you guys, as part of our voicemail segment, he's a little late this year, but the Sheik has his NFC North preview.
I believe this was the case last year, too. He got himself like a 30% head start.
Well, the worst part is he got it in like 5 weeks late, but our contract allows for that.
Yeah.
But then we missed a show, so it hasn't been played yet. So it's even later than it seems, but we'll hear from the Sheik later. This game coming up on Sunday, James, is it possible, or Kevin, I'll ask you, is it possible that this is a trap game because the Vikings are so wretched?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you play inside the division, there is a chance that, especially in this particular division, there's a chance that you could lose the game. Now, the thing that the Packers have going for them is that they're playing against Kirk Cousins, and they match up really well against the Vikings, generally speaking. So I think it's going to take a meltdown performance. I don't think it's necessarily like if they lose, I don't think it's like a trap game, like, oh, they didn't give it their all. I think they're going to like take a big, a Davenport in the closet if they lose the game. So yeah, I mean, this team is. Sorry, I was just gonna say this team is good. Like they were 13-3 last year, and they're 5-1 this year. Like they're a good team, so they should beat bad teams.
I'm gonna clip that audio, and we can make a promo with the amazing analysis you'll hear on the Titletown Sound podcast.
To be honest with you, I'm just shocked I got the records right. So.
All right, so they're coming in. They're playing this terrible Vikings team. James, do you think it's possible it's a trap game?
I mean, I think that like Kevin said, anytime it's an interdivisional game, it feels like the stakes are higher, and the Vikings. What's that?
You might lose that game. Any division game,
right?
And it's been like that for quite some time, I think.
Right. I mean, look back last year. The Lions were absolutely wretched, and the Packers didn't lead either of those games until there were zeros on the clock in the fourth quarter. Anything can happen. That being said, I think there's a familiarity with the Vikings, Mike Zimmer, and everything else that not necessarily with the Packers have with the Lions last year. The Packers should win this game going away. But it scares me because the Vikings, it's a home game. But the Vikings are dirty. They do anything they can to, not only beat us, but hurt us. That's what scares me a little bit is that these guys don't care. Like the Packers, they're going to come out and try to kill people.
So I guess the question for the Packers is, how well is the defense going to perform against Kirk Cousins? Can they turn the ball over? Right, that's something that feels like they need to do more of.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is a walking interception waiting to happen. He really is. The Smith brothers historically have feasted on him. Minnesota's offensive line isn't great. I don't know if Dalvin Cook's going to play or not. He worries me a little bit because he's pretty good.
So if I said this about the Minnesota offense, you would disagree.
They bang. Oh, baby, they move. I go crazy.
They do move. I've seen them do that.
I didn't have any follow-up to that. So, and I wasn't listening to what you said because I was just setting up the joke. But I'm sure it was great analysis. Kevin, was it great analysis?
It was better than great. It was terrific.
Thanks. Good job.
I'm setting up my prop for later in the show. I apologize if I'm not listening.
So, James, I think this is my favorite entry that you have on the entire outline. A little bit behind the scenes. James does the outline for the show. I know we've mentioned it before. This one just simply reads, the Vikings are bad at generally managing. I think their fans sometimes or many times would agree.
Yeah, they're bad, man. They
What happened now?
So, it goes back, they gave $84 million guaranteed to Kirk Cousins. And now they're handcuffed to that.
Look, the Bears traded up for Mitch Trubisky, and now they had to trade for a guy with a big schlong. But at least when Trubisky's rookie contract is over, they can get out from under it. When you have $84 million,
unlike his schlong,
you not get out from under that. Unlike the Vikings, who are tied to Kirk Cousins, and let me tell you, it is rare that you enjoy being tied to your cousins.
I
mention the boat earlier? I think I said it.
Yeah, please go do that. So they gave all that money to Kirk Cousins. So then they gave a whole bunch of money to Dalvin Cook. Then so eventually they ran out of money, and now what they're having to do is now their season's not going.
Please say it's a bake sale.
Right. It's some sort of bake sale.
It's
a bake sale. There's blintzes all over.
We had to bring it back full circle.
Yeah. So now they're having to shed salaries, including the salary of one player who they literally traded for and signed to a 1-year contract right before the season started. And now they still are going to owe him like $8 million, and they paid him $6 million for 6 games.
Like, how does that? Why? Like, why are you doing that? Why are you getting rid of this guy? I don't get it.
Well, he was brought in, Yannick Ngakoue, I think that's how you pronounce his name, or Yannick, whatever. So they brought him in. He's an elite pass rusher. He's an edge rusher. He's really good. They brought him in to be the bookends on one of the bookends on the defensive line, along with Daniel Hunter. Then Daniel Hunter got hurt before the season started. He's out for the year, and the Vikings have been bad. And I think they just finally said, you know what? We gotta reload for next year. Let's just start now and see if we can get something back for this guy. So they traded him for, I think it was a 2nd and a conditional 5th to Baltimore.
It's odd to see what's going on up there. I mean, I think the front office is part of the problem, but coaching is such a part of that problem. It has to be, right? I'm not crazy about that, am I?
Zimmer's an interesting cat, man. I mean, he's not a cat, man.
No, he's not. I was at the apartment. He had like 4 tabs. It was crazy.
Hey,
he used to drum for Kiss.
I'm a little concerned. Coach Zimmer keeps asking me to call him Mr. Mustapheles.
That's a Cats reference. I like it.
Where did
he hates Broadway. Little known fact about Chris: if you start talking about Broadway,
full tilt with Broadway.
He's there. That is a non-starter with Chris. Broadway, he's gone.
I was embarrassed that I was bringing my meager humor to a show that just had that joke. I was so impressed by it. That was not a walk-off in protest. That was a walk-off of appreciation. Like, I lacked worthiness to be on the same screen with a Mr. Mustapheles joke from the corner. No one saw that coming. No one. What the hell were we talking about? Mike Zimmer to Broadway. It's like, you can't play us at 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon because we'll do it in 1 degree every GD time. That was impressive.
That's true.
Holy hell.
I don't think we can. Yeah, I think we need to move on now.
All right. So to crystallize that segment, the Vikings suck. And that's it. That's all I got.
Gellerfart.org.
I think it's time to move on. Let's go to one of our favorite segments. I know he was injured, but we're going to bring it back for the week.
69, dudes!
Nice.
Nice.
All right, you guys are going to have to bear with me here because this one will take a little bit of imagination. All right.
Most 69s do. Come on, let's do this.
Unfortunately, I closed the game book, but I think I still remember my little thing here. If you want this week's 69 of the week, sponsored, well, he hates it, but we say his name, David Bakhtiari. He's asked us not to. Anyway, the 69 of the week this week, if we take Devontae Adams receiving yards, you with me so far?
196.
Right. Now, what you want to do is you want to take that number and you want to reverse the digits. Where are you now?
We are at 691.
That's right. Now you've got an extra digit there, so you just cut that off the back. What do you get, James?
I mean, it's 69, dudes.
69, dudes! Nice. 69! Nice.
The best part of the 69 of the week is you never know where it's coming from. You never know.
You know where it's ended, but you don't know where it's coming from.
I was going to mention Des Bryant because the Ravens signed him to their practice squad, but we don't really have time to talk much about it. But here's what I do like. I love the fact that every player is practice squad eligible. Then you can get stuff like this happening, like maybe an old player getting another shot. So that's why I think it's pretty cool. But other than that, he's not going to have an impact this year, right?
No. Well, maybe. No.
I mean, I can't imagine they would have signed him other than, with the intention of not having an impact this year.
Well, no,
Knowing
but
what
they
their
might be
needs
giving him
are,
a chance for a couple weeks to see how he comes along in the practice squad, and then we have no intention of doing anything more. That's the beauty of the practice squad. You don't have to commit too much.
I mean, I don't think you signed a Des Bryant though without the hope that he's eventually going to make it.
Oh, sure.
This was a fun week because I almost made that outline 2 pages because there was the Des Bryant thing, there was J.J. Watt just giving up on life in the press conference. Did you guys see that press conference he had?
No.
Oh my God, go YouTube it. It's one of the fun. Oh, he has just quit on life. He does not care anymore. It's amazing
because they're just getting their asses handed to him every week.
Yeah. He was asked, so what did Aaron Rodgers, what did Aaron Rodgers do, that made it so difficult today? And he goes, he played at a very high level. And then the guy goes, okay, could you elaborate on that? And he goes, he threw the ball to the receivers and they caught it.
He went like Cameron at the end of Ferris Bueller.
Yes, he did. All it's missing is the Corvette flying out the back of the garage.
All right, we should probably move to our next our voicemail segment. We have 2 voicemails this week. One is from Gabe, and I want to apologize. A lot of people called with voicemails, and then we kind of took the week off, so they didn't get into the show. We do want your voicemails, and we appreciate them, so send them. I'd give you the number, but it's on our Twitter account, and I don't feel like looking it up. So Gabe is our first caller.
Hey, y'all. Gabe here calling after the 35-20 victory over the Texans. And, well, I have to say, what a bounce-back game right there. It was a little scary there after the special teams blocked punt and everything, but yeah, they held it together. So, anyway, just calling to give you my thought on it, and I guess now we can RELAX. Yeah, that's all I have. So there you have it. Good night. God bless, and go Pack, go.
All right, it's really unfair for Gabe because he knows he doesn't know it, but he's opening for the Iron Sheik, so that's difficult. But
real quick, didn't the special teams? Wasn't there also another unfortunate situation on special teams?
Yeah, they gave up an onside kick.
Yeah, that's bad. I crammed that in my memory, and then he said special teams, and he crammed it in his memory too because he didn't even mention that when he was talking about bad right. Special teams. That's a good point by Gabe.
Yeah, that's a good point. It did have a Zook feel to it, didn't it?
Very, very Zooky.
It really zooked.
Zook-like. All right. Our other voicemail is from the Iron Sheik, and he's calling with his NFC North preview. Millions have been made on his previous previews, if you're betting, and we guess you are.
Spanning the globe is Iron Sheik. Shut the up. Hello, it's time for NFC North preview. Last year you got it in week 4. Now it is up to week 5. Got your story coming later and later every year. I'm busy, okay? Fourth place, of course, be the Detroit Beanie Babies. I am impressed with them, actually. I am impressed with the Detroit Beanie Babies, leading by double digits in 6 straight games and losing all 6 games. That's amazing, Bubba. I've never seen anything like that. But Patricia, I hope you're not doing the math yet, but you're getting closer to proving Shiki right once again with my prediction. You don't go to any Wendy's out here in Djibouti, okay? They don't. Over in Detroit, they say, trust the process. You know, I trust the process of my colon and kidneys more than I trust the process of that bullshit over in Detroit. Fuck that. I also am predicting a tie for the second place, or as I call it, third place. The Vikings and the coach Hans Zimmer. They extended his contract in July. They gave him lots of money, hoping for enhanced performance. Like the Minnesota Vikings, I too got a extension last summer. The difference is mine will last me several years, and theirs will be fired before next season. Also, I want to make a prediction. The Bears. That's my prediction. Also, the BJ Raji will on Nick Foles fest. Okay, number 1 team in NFC North
BJ Raji
will be the Green Bay Packers. You know, the people just say, oh, you need the wide receiver. They should have drafted the wide receiver. I'm at my 9-to-5 job, sitting here telling the Packers they needed the wide receiver. Remember, you should be a wide receiver so you can go f*** yourself more easily. What I'll do that if the guy LaFleur doesn't draft the wide receiver, then he don't need a wide receiver. Oh, it was Shiki, wasn't it? Shiki told you that. Who the f*** says we need the receiver now, huh? And I talk again about the people hating on the Jordan Love. Said the first round pick, he on the bench, not helping anything. I tell you this, if I could go 4-0 using my first round pick on something that's going to sit on the sideline all season, I'll draft a pile of dead giraffe shit in the first round and call it a day. Fuck it. 4-0 is 4-0. The future is the future. When Aaron Rodgers retires in 10 years, we'll have our next quarterback ready to go. So that's my predictions. Beyond that, wear the vote. Don't forget to mask in November. Whatever cares. Packers, they have tough match coming this week, containing the Giannis. I thought the season was over, but I don't watch the best sports, so you take care and go away.
Some of his finest work.
I didn't know that Djibouti had a Wendy's.
Well, you're not supposed to go there, from what I understand.
Right, you
could
want to
go
stay
there right now. You ever had the pretzel buns there? Oof, fantastic, good stuff. All right, Sheik. Everything you said was 100% right. Your prediction of F the Bears, I don't think that could be more accurate.
No, that's dead on.
So thank you very much. We appreciate the call.
My God.
We got to go to true false because we're running out of time.
True or false, true or false, true or false, true or false. It's time to play true or false.
All right.
Go.
True or false? Everyone's
False.
favorite true and false based game of chance. So quick recap from last week. Chris and Scott were the top of the leaderboard. They each had 4 correct answers. Kyle was the only player to accurately guess there would be at least there would not be 3 rushing touchdowns in the game. James, you were the only player to inaccurately guess that Houston would score more than 3 points in the first quarter. And the answer to question number 5, it was split 50-50. 4 people guessed true and 4 people being false. The answer is true. The Texans were held to under 100 rushing yards. So in terms of the overall total standings, let's see who's in first place. Ooh, Milo, Chris, and Scott. Chris Korsmo, not you, Chris. You stink. And Scott Neer. Those 3 have 60% for the season and are in the lead right now.
Where are you, oh, sir, who writes the questions?
Well, I'm so busy writing them, I don't have time to put any effort into them. But we're tied, actually. Thank you very little.
Oh, yikes!
Question number 1. Chris, we'll start with you, even though you ridiculed me just now. But I'm building bridges, not burning them. The Vikings defense is allowing 32 points per game this season. I saw that and I had to recheck it because it's legit. 32 points per game this season. The Packers are averaging 32.8. True or false? The Packers will score at least 32 points.
True. They will because they will.
Because they will.
I don't have analysis. I think they're just going to score an F load of
points. It ain't no guess. It is what it's going to be. Or something. I don't know. James, what you got?
I'll say true.
I'm going to say false, but only because I'm trying to prove Chris wrong. I'm trying to beat him, so I'm going to go. I don't know. Question number 2: When Green Bay totals at least their average yards per game, they are 3-0. True or false? The Packers will improve that mark to 4-0 and tally at least 394 yards while on their way to a win.
So, true or false? The Packers will have 394 yards plus a win.
Yeah, when the Packers accrue more than their average yards per game, they're 3-0 this season.
I understand. I understand the forced statistic.
Well, I didn't, so I had to reread it out loud. Sorry, James. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll say true.
Chris, what do you think?
I think I already said true.
Okay, I'm going to say true too. Question number 3: Through 6 games, Kirk Cousins has thrown 6 games, whatever. He's thrown 10 interceptions, including 1 in Week 1 versus the Packers, and has been sacked 14 times. The Packers through 6 have forced just 2 interceptions and have sacked the opposing quarterback 15 times. True or false? The Packers will total at least 3 interceptions and or sacks against the Vikings. Chris, what do you think?
So they'll get a total of at least 3 interceptions or sacks
combined. Combined. Yeah.
Okay. True. Kirk Cousins just likes to chuck them ugly ducks up there. They're wounded too.
James, what do you think?
Yeah, I say that's I think yes, true.
Yeah, I kind of just took the averages and kind of added them together and was a little bit conservative there. So hopefully we get that one right. I'm going to say true there too. Question number 4: In 24 games against the Vikings, regular season games, Aaron Rodgers has a completion rate of 68.01%. In Week 1 against Minnesota, Rodgers completed almost 73% of his passes. True or false? In Week 8 against the Vikings, Aaron Rodgers will complete at least 70% of his passes. James, what do you think?
Wow.
The precedent is there.
I think he's going to stop at 69 on purpose. So I'm going to say false.
Yes.
I like that.
And
Natural.
You have to now say false. Yeah.
We're going to get a natty.
Chris, you going false? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go true because I'm going to try to win. I don't know. And question number 5. The Packers are very good at scoring in every quarter of a game. They're not perfect, but they're very good at it. And they did it again last week. True or false?
If you're having difficulty at home, try flowers.
True or false? The Packers, not unless you're allergic to them, then you don't want to try flowers. Then, True or false? The Packers will score in each quarter of their game this week, including overtime, if applicable. Chris, what do you think? Because you're giving me a look like false. So I'm gonna ask
No. I think statistically I should say false, but I'm going to say true. because
James, what do you think?
I just think they're gonna roll over them like they're playing a Pop Warner team.
I say, you know what? I think false.
Well,
Here's
Tim
the-
Boyle would have to score a touchdown in my scenario, so
Well,
Tim
running back.
Boyle's a stud.
I'm going to say true because the Packers are very good on the first drive. So if they defer and they get the ball on their first drive and they score in the first quarter, and then they score in the third quarter when they get the ball on the kickoff, I think when they're firing on all cylinders, they're going to score a bunch. So I'm going to say true.
all right, was
And
that
that's it for this
5, right?
particular game. Yeah, that's it.
True or false is now over.
Now let's roll right into our final game of the evening. The game with the 19-second intro and the 2-second payoff. It's spread.
Story of my life.
19-second intro, 2-second
All right.
payoff.
Hands on the hood and spread them.
Kevin.
Yeah. The spread is
Right.
what, 6.5? Is that what it is?
Yep, Packers are favored by 6.5 at home.
Yeah. I don't actually have last week's tallies. I forgot to do that. So we'll just do this. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Just pretend you've been there before.
Uh,
Like, oh, we have such great results that we'll bring them to you next week.
okay, liar. Chris, what do you think? You think Packers 6.5? What do you think?
I take the Packers.
All right, James, what do you think?
You know me. I'm going Vikings.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna take the Packers.
all right. Spread them is now over. All right, before we get out of here, we have our sound offs.
It's time to sound off.
My sound off will be more of a programming note, so I'll go first. And that programming note is that we will not be live next Tuesday. We haven't talked about this, but next Tuesday is election day. I cannot imagine wanting to podcast on Tuesday night. So we'll probably come at you Wednesday. Unless the unthinkable is happening, then this is our last show. So that's my sound off. Who wants to go? I don't know that I'm exaggerating. So who wants to go next?
I mean, I can piggyback off that a little bit because so I try to be funny in these things, and last week I wasn't, and we weren't because this is such a serious topic, and we got a little bit of blowback on social. Very little. And there's really only one.
I was actually really pleased with that.
Snowflake.
One triggered snowflake, to use their verbiage. Look, we're at a point in the history of our nation right now. It's not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration. Things could go really bad, and a lot of people have it really bad right now. And I've seen people I love for years and years and years fight to get rights and equalities that they should have had by birth and didn't. And those things and they fought and they got them. And these things are being threatened in a quite literal way. This isn't just, oh my gosh, what a whiny liberal. This is, there's just, the Supreme Court is packed now. Things are looking bad for a lot of people that I love and care about. So I'm not going to implore you to vote for one candidate or the other. You know where I'm going. You know who I'm voting for. I'm not making a secret about it. But I want you guys to look within your hearts, and I want you guys to look at who in 30 years from now are you going to be prouder to call your president. And I want you to vote for that person. If you vote to reelect the guy that's currently in there, and you can say to yourself in 30 years, you're going to be proud, tell your grandkids, I voted for him. You're probably listening to the wrong podcast, number one. Number two, I would question you. I would really encourage you to look within yourself and figure out why. Now, look, I am not trying to lose listeners or lose anybody at this, or alienate people. I'm not. I respect all viewpoints. Most of my friends and I don't share the same political viewpoints. But guys, this is it. there's a lot of stuff that'll go down, and I've taken up a lot of time, and I'm sorry, but I'm very I feel very passionate and strongly about this. So please go out there. If you haven't voted, go do it. Get out there and vote. Tell yourself if you vote afterwards, you could stop for a Blintz on the way home.
Perfect.
Give yourself a treat.
But don't buy other people blintzes for voting, because then that's bribery. And you don't want a blintz bribe.
That's a double B.
Yeah, no. Kevin.
Yeah, so I feel like I probably should have gone first given the levity of.
Sorry.
Look,
it's fine.
we use blintzes as a palate cleanser.
No,
You're
so
good.
here we go. Okay, so during our group chat, listeners, the three of us, we have a group chat where we talk every day. And I was doing my research for true or false, and I came across just for whatever reason, I thought in my head, oh, how's Blake Martinez doing? And I looked at his numbers, and they're pretty good. And I shared it with the group, and I mentioned something about Blake Martinez, and Chris came back with me and he said, yeah, well, he's 2% milk. And it was crazy because today while I was unpacking the kids' lunches, you would never believe we got Blake Martinez 2% milk in our lunches. All right. But what's even crazier is if you look at the back, the nutritional information on the back. Okay. Solo tackles, Martinez 45. The Packers' best is 25. Assisted tackles, he's got 28. The Packers' best is 18. Here, let me see if I can show this to you again. Yeah, look at that. Combined tackles, Martinez 73. The Packers' best is 43. But what I thought was really interesting here is the tackles for loss and the sacks. Sacks, not a significant source of sacks, but would be tied for second on the Packers.
Wow.
And he's got 5 tackles for loss compared to the Packers' best of 8. So while Blake Martinez might be 2% milk, he's part of a complete breakfast, and he's doing this for the Giants. So don't poo-poo Blake Martinez anymore.
If you're not watching us live on video, you just missed one of the most glorious moments on the show. And if I were giving out 3 stars of the podcast, which I often do, you guys know after the show, much like a hockey game, I give out the 3 stars of the podcast. I think we've got our number 1 star, Kevin. I think that was well done. James, you're 30.
The amount of preparation that took is I am not worthy.
You know what? I don't want to sully it. It was too good. Let's get out on that note. What do you think? All right.
Yeah, no, that was
We're gonna
amazing.
get out of here. We will be back next week. Not on Tuesday, but on another day. By the way, if you play Rocket League, tweet at us. Talk to us. We may have something special coming up.
That's our word of the week. Tweet at us Rocket League.
Right,
Yes.
Rocket League. Tweet at us Rocket League. Oh, we forgot to do a word of the week. Jeez, James, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Vote. Please vote.
And play Rocket League with us. That sounds dirty.
Podcast is a production of Productions Institute LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.